although they established themselves in America first. It wasn't until the late 1700s that the Universalist churches were founded in Philadelphia and Massachusetts. Unlike Unitarians, they believed that everyone could be saved. The term universalism came from the belief in universal salvation. They did not believe that a loving God would allow some people into heaven and damn others. In fact, many believed that hell did not exist. In 1863, the Universalists became the first denomination to ordain women with Olympia Brown. One famous Unitarian, Thomas Starr King, summed up the differences between Unitarians and Universalists by saying, "Universalists believe that God is too good to damn people, and the Unitarians believe that people are too good to be damned by God." Starr King was a shining example of the call to the social attraction that has become such a part of Unitarian Universalism. As minister of a Unitarian church in San Francisco, Starr King was instrumental in California's fight to stay in the Union during the 1860s. He raised $1.25 million for the U.S. Sanitary Commission to provide food and medical needs to the Union Army. He raised funds for drought and food relief for his local community and worked for the rights of San Francisco's African Americans and Chinese. At one point, 40,000 people turned out to hear Starr King speak. In 1941, the Pacific Unitarian School for the Ministry changed its name to Starr King School for the Ministry to honor him, and in the 1960s, the state designated King's Church and Tomb as a historical monument. Universalist Clara Barton was known as the angel of the battlefield during the Civil War when she fought for much-needed medical supplies for the soldiers. In 1881, she founded the American Red Cross. And Universalist John Spear, who studied under Hosea Ballou to be a minister, was also editor of the Universalist newspaper, The Religious Inquirer, and used his talents to publish articles against capital punishment and other social injustices. He organized both the first and second Universalist anti-slavery conventions in Lynn, Massachusetts, and was a founding member of the New England Non-Resistance Society, which renounced violence and all worldly government. Unitarians and Universalists alike were persecuted, ostracized, and even executed for their beliefs. In their desire to create a more just society, the similarities between Unitarians and Universalists began to outweigh their differences. And in the 1930s, the growing humanist movement, common in both churches, closed the gap between the two traditions even more. Both Unitarians and Universalists believed in tolerance and religious questioning. Later, they shared resources such as religious education materials and a joint hymnal. The opportunity to have a stronger liberal religious voice, as well as the financial benefits of merging, encouraged great discussions throughout the 1950s. In 1961, the Unitarian Universalist Association was formed, although it is only fair to note that there are Unitarian churches and Universalist churches that still remain separate. As a united movement, the UUA continued to fight against all forms of oppression, racial, gender, economic, age, and environmental. In 1977, the UUA passed a Women and Religion resolution, and in 1996, affirmed same-sex marriage. But of course, the most important event in the 20th century Unitarian Universalist history was the founding of Countryside Church in 1957. Which ultimately made Bill and Ted's most spiritual adventure possible.
Dude, the chalice is fixed. Let's go. Sound effect. Oh, finally made it back.
I think you have a lot of stuff about UUism now.
Yeah, but that's stuff that only happened in the past. We're missing the now.
Dude, it's supposed to be a history report.
But we're making history.
I guess. What can we do for now, Tom?
Let's ask the minister.
Minister? What's he gonna know?
That's what we're gonna ask him.
We are?
Yeah, just come on. He's gotta be around here somewhere. We only have a week to do our presentation.
Dude, where'd you get a watch?
Jesus gave it to me. Anyways.
Whatever, dude. Hey, look, there's Reverend Don.
I'm sorry, Bill, but this is a plant.
Not that, dude. That.
I don't know. It looks pretty suspicious to me.
Just come on.
All right. Hello, Mr. Plant.
Well,
I mean,
hello there.
Mr. Don.
Yes, how are you?
We have some questions for you. Do you think we could have 5 minutes of your time?
5, 10, whatever. Let's see, it's 11:10 now. You got 20 minutes. We're taking the offering in.
Oh, yeah.
Well, first of all, we're writing a report for our service next week. We kind of want to incorporate the present into our history report. Don't ask me what's Ted's idea.
Come on, Bill, extra credit.
Anyways, our question was about the state of the church today. How are we doing overall? Are we still...
I don't believe I want to start with that question. I think it was like, why do you want to become a UU minister?
Exactly.
Exactly, that was the question.
Why do you want to become a UU?
You guys are really cool, you know that? You're really so cool.
But seriously, dude, what made you want to become a UU minister?
Oh, it's genetic, you know. It really is. I'm related to 2 bishops in the Methodist Church, cousins of mine. They make more money than I do. And a sister, Mother Superior, Catholic nun, whose real sister had 19 children to make up for the fact that her sister was a sister. Also, when I was a kid, I saw a really cool minister, Dr. Tarleton T. Sit down, relax. Dr. Tarleton T. Roberts was my minister from Oklahoma. I was a Disciples of Christ, and he was always invited to our house to eat. He was always there having steak dinners and lobsters, and I figured, well, you know, that's not a bad gig. I might do that myself. But as you can see, I've done rather well in my profession. The other thing was simply, wait a minute, I'm not done yet. The most important thing was when I was about 7 years old, I was sitting in the church service, listening to this minister, another minister, go on and on and on, talking about why we needed Jesus to get to God. And that didn't make any sense to me. So I was sitting next to my little girlfriend, Harriet, and we started to joke about things. Why do we need that? Anyhow, the elders of the church, who were all men in those days, came down the aisle and dragged me out of church. They excommunicated me at the age of 7. So I knew that I was different because I was asking questions. And that's why I'm a Unitarian Universalist minister in a nutshell.
Whoa, that's intense, dude.
It is, yeah.
All right, our next question is about the state of the church today. You know, the one that we did before, but you cut us off.
Oh, the one you did before about the state of the church. Yeah. Well, first of all, it's getting younger. And there are more and more younger people coming into our movement. Overall, in the United States, there are more Unitarian Universalists, or fewer Unitarian Universalists than there are Southern Baptists in Toledo, Ohio. So there are about 200,000 total with the youth. So there are not a lot in the United States. But worldwide, we have churches too. I just served 7 churches in England. The average attendance was around 5 people. Seriously. Where only 1% of people anyhow in England go to church at all. So whereas here, 66% in the United States are in some kind of service during the week. The other thing is that we are growing because, in a sense, we're becoming more and more diverse as we open our pulpits to women. We were the first to ordain women, as you all said, in 1863, 5, something like that. And also the first to recognize openly gay ministers. The other thing I want to say is that if you put all people together who are agnostics or free thinkers or atheists or humanists, who in effect are Unitarian in their thinking, in the world, it would be far larger a group than any other group that's ever existed in the world in a religious sense. So there are a lot of Unitarian Universalists out there, and we need to do more work than we're doing right now.
All right, well, it does look like we have a positive impact on the future.
Okay, this is what I think is the most important question.
Yep.
How is the coffee supply faring?
How's the coffee supply faring? The coffee supply, I don't know. Maybe I need to pray about this a little bit. Let me think about this. I'm sorry, wait a minute. A God? Yeah? I want to know how the coffee supply is. Okay, I know that's not optional. God is optional with Unitarians, right? You're optional. Jesus is optional. Clothing is optional. But not coffee. Okay, what about wine? Wine is good. Okay. All right. So, yeah, we're okay.